For thousands of years, an insect has kept the rainforests of Central America alive. It's one of the smallest and least understood creatures on Earth, the bee. Now, a foreign species of bee has invaded these rainforests. One man believes that this foreign bee may cause problems for the whole rainforest. He's ready to take any risk to find out. The man is entomologist David Rubik. Rubik has spent much of his life studying bees. He'll go anywhere to get closer to his favorite creatures. Rubik has studied bees for over 30 years, so he's one of the world's leading experts on native bees. He works deep in the rainforest of Panama. This has allowed him to become more familiar with bees than almost anyone else. When Rubik talks about bees, it's clear they're very interesting to him.
I've counted more than 300 different species of bees in just one small forest area in Panama. It's just in a square kilometer of forest, but there might be 1 million or more individual bees, and this is really about the best place in the world to do the kind of work that I'm doing. They interact with everything. They pollinate the plants, they provide food for a lot of different animals. They live in the most outlandish, interesting places, from the top of the rainforest canopy to holes deep underground. So it's a wonderful group to look at.
Unfortunately, Rubik thinks that the future of these amazing native bees looks bad. Little by little, people are destroying their rainforest habitat. People are also responsible for something that Rubik sees as an even more immediate environmental problem, one that's the result of a scientific experiment gone terribly wrong. In 1957, a group of scientists in South America wanted to improve honey production. So they started studying a bee that was not native to the area, the African honeybee. The African honeybee is far more adaptable than most native species. It can reproduce very quickly and develop large swarms in a short time. But if anything bothers it, it can become very dangerous. At first, the study proceeded normally. Then, one day, some of the African honeybees escaped. Something that at first seemed to be a bit of bad luck eventually became a very costly mistake. The hungry African bees spread quickly throughout South America and were soon known as killer bees. They got the name because of their large swarms, angry behavior, and potential to kill people by stinging them repeatedly. Rubik went to Panama in 1979 to find some answers to the killer bee problem. People were worried about how the bees would affect the environment. By 1982, this powerful foreign bee had crossed almost the entire South American continent. It was starting to make its home in Panama. Rubik realized that the life of the rainforest and its native bees were in danger. They'd never be the same again. The killer bees had arrived. According to Rubik, the newspapers and television mostly talked only of a group of killer bees. He says that they invented this story for excitement, but they didn't really discuss the important story. The biggest danger was not to man, but to the future of the Latin American rainforests. Native bees are pollinators that play an important role in making all plants reproduce. Without the native bees, Rubik was worried that the rainforests couldn't survive. To understand the true impact of the killer bees, Rubik must study them up close.
So this is one of the millions. These bees have done something no other bee ever did. These things have sucked up most of the resources that are out there for bees and for other animals too, not just bees visit flowers for food. Birds, bats, butterflies, other things take the same food. And it's not just here and there, it's really everywhere. All the vast forest areas we think of as absolute wildlife preserves have been violated by this bee. This bee doesn't belong in any of them. It lives in all of them. It's not going to go away.
Rubik has also discovered what the real danger of the invading bee is. It has better skills for finding food and for taking over areas quickly. Because of its large numbers and strength, the killer bee has little to fear from most creatures. Rubik knows that nothing will likely stop the advance of the killer bees here. But will the native bees of Panama be able to compete with their hungry new neighbors? The sight of native beehives with no native bees seems to tell a warning story. There is no honey here. Still, Rubik needs to know for sure, so he goes to a place called Tulum, Mexico. Tulum is one home of the Maya, an ancient culture from Mexico and Central America. Here, Rubik hopes to find data that indicates just how much of a danger the killer bees really are.
My data would only reach back 15 years, but I needed someone with even more experience with native bees. That's what the Maya in particular had to offer.
Rubik further explains that the native bee has been an important part of Maya culture for over 1,000 years. If there was any change in the bee population, they would likely know. The descendants of the ancient Maya have always kept native bees in the traditional way, until now. Modern-day Mayan farmers now believe that the killer bees have caused huge changes.
15 years ago, the honey used to jump out at you, take off the hive cover, and there'd be honey right out to the edge. Now I can reach half my arm in. There's just space. These people noticed in terms of 2 or 3 years after African bees arrived, their native bees and their honey were not there.
Rubik has finally proved an important point. The African bee appears to be forcing out native bees. It's an absolutely terrible discovery for the entomologist.
The disturbing reality is that it is not a natural part of this community, yet it has become part of nature. And ironically, man has put it there, but man can't take it away.
Nobody really knows if the native bees of Latin America will survive, and it may take many years to find out. However, deep in the heart of Panama, David Rubik continues his research. He intends to learn more about the secrets of native bee life before it's too late.